Braylon Edwards, I will defer to you here talking about Jahmyr Gibbs.
All right. So here we go. Everybody's asking a question about Jahmyr Gibbs' usage. Why is he being used like this? He was drafted 12th overall. They moved up to get him. I was asking these questions, and a lot of other people were too. So before I want to keep bringing that question up and keep badgering that question, I want to take a look at how the first-round running backs have done in their first 4 games in the last 15 years. So what I did was I took the last 15 running backs drafted in the first round. Okay, I looked at their first 4 games. I added all their touchdowns up, I added all their yards up, I added all their usage up.
That's a lot of work.
It was. It took me 2.5 hours, so I'm proud of this.
Look at this.
And I don't even know if it's that good. But so these are just a couple of the names. This is Jahmyr Gibbs. And notice, Parker put this together, JB or Parker put this together. I think it's JB. It says relax. It says relax. R-E-L-A-X. Much in the words of Aaron Rodgers. And here's why. Of all those guys added up, including Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan, 251 yards in the first 4 games was the average. 251 yards. The average was 1 touchdown in those.
Oh, wow.
Average is 1 touchdown, 251 yards receiving.
For the 4 games.
For the 4-game period.
Sweet.
The average win-loss was 2.
Okay.
There was, Zeke had 3-1. Todd Gurley was 3-1. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire was 4-0, but we know what team he played for.
Correct.
Now, if you take off,
He was a first-round pick.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't-
that's you, I
when you win the championship,
Yeah.
everybody wins when you win.
Yeah.
So, you look at, if you take Todd Gurley off, who's just ridiculous through his 4 games, 146, 159, 128, 89, and then you take off Zeke, who was 58, 83, 140, and 138. I mean, he's running behind the best offensive line in football for 6 years. If you take that off, the average goes down to 219 over 4 games, and it goes down to a touchdown. It still stays at a touchdown. Currently, Jahmyr Gibbs is 170, 70 yards, and then 70 yards receiving. It's not too far from.
So 240 combined.
So, no, he's 240 combined. 240 combined on the usage. Not too far behind. The pace behind that is 219. It's 251 if you do include Zeke and Todd. But everybody's like, why is he doing so much? Why is he doing so much? Like, where is it at? With the exception of Leonard Fournette, who had a big first 4, Todd Gurley and Zeke, he's right there with everybody else. But here's where it gets interesting. All those guys that get all the extra usage, all the guys that are ahead of him, all the guys that were bought in to change the franchises, that were bought in to become the bell cows, CMC, what did he do after year 1? Injured. What happened to Zeke? Injured year 3. What happened to Todd Gurley? Injured year 3. What happened to Saquon Barkley? He was injured year 2. What happened to Doug Martin? What happened to Melvin Gordon? What happened to Leonard Fournette? What happened to Travis Etienne? What happened to Rashad Penny? Rashad Penny, he had 80 yards in that first 4-game stretch. Basically, outside of 3 people, Jahmyr Gibbs with that 170 will play 7th in running backs in the first, and drafted in the first round. But the thing is, the wins. They're 3-1 as a Detroit Lion. Don't question what Dan Campbell is doing because they're easing him into it. David Montgomery, 68 carries, 262 yards. He's taking the blunt of the force. You know what they're trying to do, in my estimation? They're using him in right spots, not trying to wear him out, not trying to have him in year 4, year 5. We're looking at each other like, I don't know. It's like DeAndre Swift. He was injured for this many games. He was injured for that many games. They are winning. They are winning with the way they're using him, and they haven't even really been able to put it together yet. Amon-Ra St. Brown's banged up. Jamison Williams just coming back. David Montgomery missed the game. Made him have to do something else. Oh, by the way, if Taylor Decker is the left tackle when you're playing the Falcons, it wouldn't have been 86 yards that Jahmyr Gibbs would have had. It would have been a lot more, and you saw that with David Montgomery against the Green Bay Packers. So everybody's got to relax. Like, you look at these first 4-game stretches, average. Like, he's not too far from where all these running backs were. And the guys that were getting the most usage, Zeke, Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, those guys injured. Year 3, you're like, damn, should we keep him? Zeke got paid, and what will happen the next year? Damn, we shouldn't have paid him. Yeah. So what you got to do, 1, you're not the GM. 2, you're not the coach. Let Brad Holmes and let Ben Johnson, more important, just let him get acclimated to the system. Let their process work. Everybody wants to be an at-home coach. Let the process work, because I promise you, it's going to work.
you did a great job there.
Great job.
It's
will
gonna
tell
work.
Great job.
I love it because I think these guys really look ahead. What did I just say a couple of minutes ago about Jamison Williams? We really didn't need him on all those games. You went 8-2 down the stretch, 3-1 right now. Now he comes in fresh, rejuvenated, and ready to play his real rookie season. Same thing for Jahmyr Gibbs. We didn't really need him. What were we going to do? Be 4-0? That was the we gave that game to Seattle. That was a giveaway. They should be 4-0. So in reality, they've used him perfectly. Just not for us fantasy guys. That's all.
100%. At the end of the day, it's we want to see more Jahmyr Gibbs.
We
It's
drafted
sweet.
him first round fantasy, second round.
Exactly. We want to see more. We want to see what it's about. We saw the highlight tape. We want to see it. The Detroit Lions have a plan. I mean, look at Christian McCaffrey, 102 yards after 4 games. CMC is considered the best running back in the league right now. But what happened along the way? He was banged up. He was beat up. I really think the Detroit Lions are trying to spare Jahmyr Gibbs, not in the sense that he can't take it, but why add extra hits when we don't need to? We have a plan for Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe the Lions' plan is to keep him long term. Maybe their plan is to utilize him like Darren Sproles was used. Darren Sproles was in the passing game. He was in the running game and was great for a very, very, very long time. I mean, you look at some of these comparable numbers, he's not far behind these guys, and they didn't even use him like that, and Taylor Decker didn't play. So when I look at what they have and that last thing too, they're on losing teams. Look at Saquon Barkley's team his rookie year, trash. Josh Jacobs' team, trash. Doug Martin, trash. Melvin Gordon, they were decent. Leonard Fournette, they started off good, trash at the end. Najee Harris, trash. Travis Etienne, obviously they made the playoffs last year, and he did. What did he do? He got injured as well. So I look at where he's at, 170, 240 total, hasn't had a touchdown yet, but they're getting him in right. He's on a winning team. He's on a winning team. All these running backs that were drafted, Ryan, they were drafted, and then the team said, hey, here, let me sit this on your back and let's roll, with the exception of a couple guys. He doesn't have to have that to happen, which means he extends his playing career, and which when they learn how to use him, when they find out how to use him like Alabama, when they find out how to use him a little bit like CMC is used with the San Francisco 49ers, oh boy, watch out.
Yeah.
Oh boy, watch out. So what I say to myself, because I'm the reason I looked it up, and others, relax. Ben Johnson is in a good situation as it relates to Jahmyr Gibbs. They play the Panthers this week. This is another week to find out who Jahmyr Gibbs for Ben Johnson. Then they play the Buccaneers. It's another week to find out what's going on. Then it's the Ravens, and you know he's going to have something up his sleeve. So I tell everybody, relax. Started with myself.
You know, when you take a running back in the first round, it's very rare that becomes a bit of a luxury pick, would you say?
Yeah.
When you take a running back in the first round, it's very rare that player is your number 2 back.
Agreed.
Think about Saquon Barkley. He ain't sharing with nobody. Think about Ezekiel Elliott.
Not sharing.
He wasn't sharing with anybody. Think about Christian McCaffrey.
He ain't sharing.
I don't remember what the Jonathan Stewart dynamic was, but
They used Jonathan Stewart more. Jonathan Stewart started at first.
So
yeah.
maybe Christian McCaffrey there.
It's a great
but
comparison.
Josh Jacobs, no. I mean, so all of these running backs that are on this list here that are taken in the first round, those guys were taken to be the guy. Jahmyr Gibbs was taken to be an element of an offense, a piece of an offense, which really can be used in many different ways. So while he is a running back, you do have this kind of Deebo Samuel type usage to him. Remember when Deebo Samuel
Super Bowl.
he didn't have like the greatest.
He burst onto the scene basically when they moved him around and made him
he was
different
playing
things.
wide receiver. He was playing running back, and he didn't have great numbers at either position because he wasn't playing one position. He was moving all over the place. So you had to extrapolate those numbers, and ultimately it worked out for him in his contract. But that was a fight for him in his contract because he didn't have these incredible numbers at any one position because of how they used him.
Yeah, and everybody has to realize, you got to relax. Like, just because you want to see somebody used a certain way doesn't mean that's how the Detroit Lions, why they drafted him, to use him that way. Look at Christian McCaffrey. Rookie year, Ryan, he had 435 yards rushing. 435 rushing. Jonathan Stewart started, kept him out of there. In terms of that, he got 435 yards started, but he had 635 passing yards by the end of the season. Mm-hmm. He had 5 touchdowns receiving by the end of the season. And then once they put the full brunt of the workload on him, what happened? He started breaking down. What if Jahmyr Gibbs, and what if the Lions' vision for Jahmyr Gibbs, we want him to be in this role for a very long time.
Yep.
We'll keep bringing in bruisers. Like, we'll keep bringing in guys like David Montgomery who can rush for 1,200 or can take the beating that he took or that he gave the Green Bay Packers last Thursday.
He's going well over 1,000.
He'll be 1,300 for sure.
Yeah.
But Jahmyr Gibbs, 800 receiving yards, 800, 900 rushing yards. What if that's his role for a very long time? How they plan on using him, we'll see. It's how they plan on using him. But I think they may be on to something. I don't think it's turning him into Saquon Barkley, turning him into Josh Jacobs, turning him into CMC. Maybe it's just 800 yards rushing a year, 800 to 1,000 yards receiving a year.
I'll take it.